Hello, my name is John Spooner and I'm the president and founder of the Genesis Consortium Inc. based in Dallas, Texas. Since 1994, we've provided a wide variety of training products and consulting services to scores of businesses and governments around the world. After nearly 4 decades as a businessman and consultant, I have faced a wide variety of challenges. As a result, I've learned a number of concepts and techniques that are salient to anyone's career success, but particularly salient to people of color. We know from our own daily experiences in the workplace that the battle for simple fairness and equality is far from over. We know that there continues to be powerful yet increasingly more subtle forces arrayed against our achieving full acceptance and equal opportunity. Some of those obstacles are obvious to us, but many are more difficult to detect. Consider some of the most recent research in this area. 1 in 6 U.S. workers experience some form of discrimination, according to the Gallup poll. According to a Sherm, Kaiser, and UPS study of 5,000 job candidates, it was discovered that applicants with black-sounding names were 50% less likely than applicants with white-sounding names to be contacted for an interview. Harvard researchers found in 2005 that blacks, the elderly, the disabled, and the overweight were subject to the highest levels of bias in the workplace. Workplace actions most susceptible to discrimination were found to be promotion, pay, hiring, and workplace treatment. In spite of all the efforts to eradicate this phenomenon, hidden bias continues to thwart our ability to compete on a level playing field. Dr. Paul Miller, a law professor at the University of Washington and former commissioner with the EOC, stated, "Our society has moved from overt, permissive discrimination in the workplace to a clear acknowledgement that discrimination is illegal. And in some cases, that has led to workplace discrimination becoming more covert and unspoken. In the past, access was the primary obstacle for people of color. Thanks to the Civil Rights Movement, that legal battle was won. But that victory only removed the legal barriers. It did not, nor could not, remove the biases of those unwilling to create a level playing field, or the biases of those completely unaware that the playing field was actually uneven in the first place. For our generation, however, the issue isn't so much about access, but about development. And it remains to be seen how effective we will respond to this complex challenge in the 21st century. It's always good to begin any analysis by ensuring that we understand the important concepts and terminology. If development is the issue for us, what does it mean? We define development this way. It is a lifelong process of building identity, character, analytic capability, operational capability, and self-confidence. But there are formidable obstacles to development for everyone. Some are internal and psychological. Some are external, interpersonal, or even organizational. What determines performance and development? Belief 1 is particularly problematic. This belief says that innate ability is all that you need to determine one's performance and development. While this belief is widespread in America and is the basis for how organizations evaluate the performance of its entire workforce, our analysis has revealed that a large portion of people of color in many large organizations consistently receive performance evaluations skewed towards the lower end of the bell curve. That is to say, in many organizations, people of color are being evaluated as average or below average at a much greater rate than their white colleagues. Does that imply that we are intellectually inferior? Or might it have to do with the inability of many of us, often working in isolation and unsupported, to internally manage the insidious nature of bias and exclusion and how it affects our inner strengths? Is it possible that those external obstacles that are salient to people of color, bias, leads to a host of internal obstacles that affect self-confidence, motivation, emotional competence, and much more? These are the very strengths one needs to maximize their performance and development. Belief 1 simplifies managing large numbers of people. That's why organizations use it, the bell curve. But it fails to adequately recognize or account for any type of obstacles to development. People of color are continuously subjected to subtle biases rooted in low expectations of ability. These low performance expectations lead to disruptions in one's psychological, motivational, and emotional strengths. Clearly, factors other than one's innate ability, or IQ, determine maximum development potential. For people subjected to centuries of these quote-unquote rumors of inferiority and nearly 50 years of subtle workplace bias, the external and internal obstacles are so formidable that many of us have developed a sense of helplessness. For centuries, both white and black Americans were socialized to believe that people of color were in fact intellectually inferior. People of color were believed to be weak in the mind but strong in the body. Whites, on the other hand, had the opposite belief, that they were strong in the mind but weak in the body. While today there may be less who still believe this lie than in the past, we believe that there's still a large segment of the population who simply aren't sure, of every color. Unfortunately, as members of a biased society, all of us are too often unconsciously buying into these beliefs, and they've affected all of us. As a result, many of us, black, brown, and white, simply aren't sure if it's true. Particularly given the bell curve, how pervasive it is, and how people of color continue to underperform and underdevelop on a massive social scale. Too many of us have developed doubts about our own innate ability. Those doubts, which we don't like to talk about, undermine our self-confidence, self-worth, and ability to trust, the very assets we need to perform. So we're complicit in our own demise. Negative beliefs and assumptions create a hostile environment, very often very subtly so, which leads to our response being helpless. We become emotionally incompetent, we've lost our confidence, our esteem, and our trust, and we've grown comfortable with mediocre performance. When others see that, it just confirms in their minds, and in ours quite frankly, that we are inferior in ability and worth and potential, and justifies a continued alienation and inattention that we need to succeed. So we believe that rumors of inferiority has undermined our collective self-confidence and quality of effort. That impact has resulted in many of us accepting the status quo, being comfortable with mediocrity, or just plain giving up. For those that have, they have unwittingly accepted a comfort zone of performance and development far below their real abilities. And in so doing, they are actually fulfilling the prophecy, the low biased expectations of our ability. So in fearing the lie, we ourselves play the dominant role in perpetuating it. Until we recognize this intellectual inferiority shell game, we will never be able to overcome these formidable obstacles to our development. At Genesis, we believe the solution is twofold. We must effectively teach leaders and entire workforces how to develop and maintain an authentic, inclusive work climate for everyone. All of us victimized by bigotry, black, white, brown, or otherwise, must learn how to manage exclusion and conflict and how to deliver empowered performance. In an inclusive work environment, all people can and will thrive. Our innate abilities are more than enough to develop and perform at the highest possible levels. What is needed is an empowered mindset. At Genesis, we believe that an empowered mindset is an optimistic and confident state of existence where an individual assertively maintains an internal locus of control. This is a strong belief that one has control over his or her response to negative circumstances or situations. Developing an internal locus of control can be taught and learned. So can inclusive leadership competencies. At Genesis, we believe that belief, too, is what determines maximum development. We call it the inclusion model. It assumes outstanding intelligence and potential in everyone who hasn't been brain damaged at birth. All that matters is, do they have high self-confidence? And with that, will they deliver effective effort? With our tools and techniques, we can help your organization develop an authentic, inclusive climate for everyone. We can help those victimized by self-doubt to overcome the insidious effects of rumors of inferiority, and we can help those who are infected with bias to recognize them and eliminate them. You see, it doesn't matter how negative the stimulus is, only how you respond. Genesis can train your entire workforce, leaders and staff, with the tools and techniques they need to fulfill the goal of true equality in the workplace, creating high-performance teams.